Hello and welcome to Across the Acres, a Beck's Hybrids podcast, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire each and every one of you by interviewing others whom have a story or message to share. My name is David Ringer. I'm joined by my faithful companion, Morgan Fitch.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I am very, very good. And I love your t-shirt today.
Hey, thank you.
It's so accurate. It's pretty much every day I'd rather be at Wrigley.
Yeah, me too.
Just in case anybody above us is listening, we do love our job at Beck's.
Absolutely.
But if we could commute from Wrigley, like telecommute.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Why not?
Helicopter, maybe.
Dude, if only we had a helicopter or like 6 jets.
Yeah. It's like a half
Scotty, do we have 6 jets?
We've got a few.
We've got a few.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the voice of Scotty McCorkle, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, sir?
Doing well. We're busy here, kind of the time frame with early sign and select
Ooh.
going on right now within commitment rewards, which is a busy time. But
it's a very busy. You're filling out everything like a mad person.
It's a lot of fun though.
Good.
It's a lot of fun, a lot of energy right now out there, and harvest kind of getting started, kind of getting some of those early yields. So it's kind of like Christmas morning as well. You start seeing those plots come in, which is a lot of fun as well to see those numbers roll in.
You are our commitment reward Eastern region lead.
Yes, sir. Yes,
wow.
sir.
That's a mouthful. And
try fitting that on a business card.
Yeah, good luck with that. Which, anyway, it's changing too.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Coming up here in October, which this will be the October episode, just so you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been covering southern Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, and then a little bit of Alabama, and actually adding the state of Missouri as well. So joining that team, really excited about that. Kind of dipping my toe in the water here as I've started work with some of those people in Missouri and really enjoyed it, but fully take on the whole state as of October 1, and looking forward to covering that. A lot of geography, but it's a lot of fun. Keeps me busy. See a lot of different ways that people run their operations.
Oh my!
Which honestly makes it a lot of fun.
It does. I do apologize in advance as someone who has had to work with the Missouri team for a long time now. They're horrible people.
Yeah, I feel like I have to give them a shout out here early to kind of build that rapport early.
Yeah, because they're going to tear you apart.
Yeah, I've heard that.
They're just so mean.
I've heard horror stories about them.
Oh,
right?
yeah, like all of them. I just, all of them are mean people. That's a joke, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Tell us more about you personally. Give us your background, family. You got children, you've got hobbies, whatnots, wherever you care to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up actually in a little town, Windfall, Indiana. I doubt anyone listening to the podcast has probably been to the small town of Windfall, Indiana. So was nicknamed Seed City for a number of years. Actually, several small family-owned seed companies were from Windfall, Indiana.
Okay.
And so, I grew up in Windfall, Indiana. My dad grew up on a corn and soybean operation there in Windfall, Indiana. The only time anybody listening's ever been to Windfall was the Farm Progress Show. Back actually when it used to travel, site to site was held in Windfall, Indiana in 1998.
Nice.
And so I was 5 years
Claim
old.
to fame.
Absolutely. That is Windfall's claim to fame. They need to get that on their welcome sign. As you come into town, I'm a little disappointed they haven't got that added.
It's approximately where?
Yeah, it's just about 15 miles just northeast here of Atlanta, Indiana.
Oh.
And so not far at all. So grew up here around Beck's, knew of Beck's for a number of years.
Yeah.
But everybody I feel like has one of these kids on the farm, and I was that kid that we grew seed corn for crows, hybrids actually back in the day. So I spent a lot of time open cab detasselers, New Holland, New Idea corn pickers back in the day. And I grew up and I was that kid that told mom and dad, man, I am not going to farm. You can give all that to my older brother. I don't want any part of ag. I am gonna move away. And I said, I might come back for Christmases. We'll see how that goes.
You were thinking big city?
Yeah, I was thinking just something outside of small town Indiana, honestly, and doing something outside of agriculture. And so I grew up with always those plans of actually getting out of small town Indiana and doing something different. And so I actually, growing up then, I went to Ball State. A lot of my friends went exactly.
Yeah, buddy.
See, we're the few and the proud here.
Yeah.
I joke. I say it's the Harvard of the Midwest.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's fair.
It is fair,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It's a wonderful university. I mean, Morgan went there.
Yeah.
He's on the sign of famous
he is.
people that went there.
David Letterman, Morgan Fitch, and Scotty McCorkle.
I tell
That
you
is
what.
the sign.
Jim
We-
Davis.
Oh, Jim
Yeah.
Davis. Yeah.
We used to claim the Papa John's Pizza guy as well,
Yep.
actually. We don't claim him as
No.
much
No,
anymore
I
after
We let
after some-
Louisville have him.
Yeah, after some headlines that came out,
That's
we
wise.
dumped him.
Yeah,
So-
I would. Go up there with the magic eraser and get his name off the sign.
So yeah, I went to Ball State and got a business degree there at Ball State, and ultimately it was my last semester at Ball State that I did a internship. Actually, Reynolds Farm Equipment, local John Deere family-owned dealership. They have a location in Muncie, and they had been asking, and I finally said, yeah, I'll come out and I'll intern and just kind of learn some things. My dad always did business with Reynolds and knew many of the Reynolds family members, and so I did that internship. And actually, by the time that second semester ended, they offered me a job, and my story, and I'll share the rest of it, is the ultimate, like, God is upstairs laughing at Scott McCorkle, because Scott McCorkle's had all these plans, and none of them have went the way that Scott has anticipated, which has been a lot of fun. So I have no idea why I accepted the job, but actually I joined their e-commerce platform, where we helped launch greenfarmparts.com. At the time, and I actually came here to their headquarters, which is in Atlanta, Indiana, and so
Just down the street.
Just down the street, yeah. So I worked in e-commerce there with that team as e-commerce grew, and then actually I became an aftermarket manager there at the Atlanta location, where I managed parts and service for them and helped across their territory. So for those of you who don't know Reynolds, Reynolds was family owned and operated from 1955. Gary Reynolds was actually second generation, which is who I worked under. And so terrific company. Then obviously I spent a lot of time with Beck's. The Commemorative Rewards team, as we did business with them, built a lot of relationships here, and actually had a member in the team that went to a different department here at Beck's, and I got the call that said, hey, you ever think about switching teams? Right? We've enjoyed working with you. Is there a possibility you'd want to come down here to Beck's? My wife, I went home and told her, I said, hey, got a call today. I said, I'm going to go down and interview for a job at Beck's. And she goes, why? She goes, you got a really good thing going at Reynolds. She goes, you've been successful there. Why are you looking for a change? I said, I have no idea. I said, I'm trying to keep the peace, right, between Reynolds and Beck's. They're one of our biggest customers. Mm-hmm. And she goes, well, I'm going to tell you, Scott, this is going to end in a mess for you. And so we joke about that. So I did the first interview. And by the time I left the first interview, they said, hey, can you come back in about another week and we'll have somebody else sit down with you and interview? So I said, yeah. And I went home and I told Allie, I said, I got a second interview at Beck's. And she said, why'd you accept it? She goes, right now you have no plans on taking that job. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, I don't know. I said, I'll figure it out. Second interview. And this is the reason why I work at Beck's today. So Bethany Grimmel sat in on my second interview. And I had known of Bethany, but didn't know her personally. And she asked me one question in that second interview. We're about 10 minutes in. And she asked me the question, Scott, who do you want to be in 10 years? Mm. And I answered that question, right? You're in a professional setting.
Sure.
So I answered it, what I thought I could do for Beck's in 10 years, or where I thought I could be professionally in 10 years. She didn't listen to anything I said. And you can just tell sometimes when you're talking to somebody, they're not paying attention. Bethany, I thank you for this moment, so don't take it badly.
Yeah.
But she got done, and she goes, Scott, she goes, I heard what you said, but she goes, who do you want to be as a father, as a husband, and as a member of this community in the next 10 years? Because that's what we care about here at Beck's. Scott, if you're a great husband, if you're a great father, and you're a great member of this community, hey, everything here at Beck's is going to work out. I have no doubt you're going to be successful here if you take care of those three things.
Amen.
And I tell you what, I walked down that second interview. I went outside, and I got in the car, and I called my wife, and I said, hey, if they offer me this job, I'm taking it. Mm-hmm. And she said, what? And I told her what happened. And she goes, yeah, I think that would be. She goes, it seems like a really great company, right? And so you hear all the things about the Beck culture, right? But that was my first real exposure to that, right? And truly caring about the employees that work here. And man, I've carried that with me ever since. And so for anybody that doubts the Beck's culture, right? That's 100% a true story, that happened to me, that ultimately landed me here at Beck's.
That was your first sip of Kool-Aid.
It was my first sip of Kool-Aid. That's the thing. So growing up in the community, you hear all those
Yep.
things, right?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I don't know what they're serving down there at Beck's, but they all seem to be drinking
Yep.
it.
Absolutely.
Morgan's
but
the
it's-
one mixing it up in the back of the room.
He does have something on his desk back there that looks a little bit like it.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
do. It's my cauldron.
But I tell you what, you tell somebody that story and they start to understand truly what this is and why it is so unique, right? And in not only I would say the industry, but just careers in general.
Oh,
it gets
absolutely.
fewer and fewer every year
It
that
does.
truly care about their employees.
Absolutely.
And Beck's is one of those, what I would say, kind of holy grails of that, and it's really important. As I've continued in my career, something that I don't take lightly. Right?
No.
I think individuals starting out in careers sometimes don't necessarily factor that into their decision-making process.
Mm-hmm.
So I take myself back to those early days. Culture didn't mean anything to me, right? Until you get some of those real-life examples of what culture is and how it can impact you as a person.
We were I shouldn't say I at least was so naive, so green, rose-colored glasses perhaps. And when you're starting to search for a career and you're seeing what is out there, you're assuming some things and you're really focused on yourself.
Yeah.
What Beck's helps us all to do is focus on others.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where the real reward
Yep.
is.
It's the golden rule, right? Treat everybody else how
Amen.
you'd want to be treated, and everything else works out.
That's right.
Yep.
So as God sits up there today, as I promised my parents, which they remind me all the time, I swear I was never going to work in ag. Every career I've had has been in agriculture ever since.
Well, at least you got out of small town Indiana, because Atlanta has 1,400 people.
Hey, I moved to the big town of Tipton now, so yeah, we're moving.
You rebel! Oh my goodness, is there one stoplight in Tipton?
They took all the stoplights out and put stop signs. That's how big we
Oh,
are.
wow.
Yeah, but
Huge.
So
Oh man.
now and thankful for that. So you look back and you think you've got it all figured out at a young age, but you look back and there's a lot of things that I took for granted, probably as a kid and growing up on the farm, and the things that we did right that I don't take for granted now, and to continue to build on my story. So I've got a son now who's 6, and a little girl who's 3, Mackenzie, and she's going to be the death of me. She's a lot like me, firecracker.
Oh boy.
But my son. So it's funny. I grew up not really caring about the farm. My son Lane would live on the farm with my dad if we would let him. He's constantly asked if he can live with Nana and Papaw. It's kind of the running joke between us. But
If they're willing to pay for his college, I'd drop him off.
100%.
Just say, here you go. Good luck with that.
So he can't get enough of riding in the combine and doing all those things, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Right, him grow up and appreciate all those things that I probably took for granted all those years.
You bet. We didn't get your wife's name,
Yeah. So my wife's name's Allie.
Allie.
Yep.
And you've been married.
So we got married actually in 2017.
Okay.
And so we're going up. This next year will be 9 years.
Okay.
And
Fantastic.
so we did. We were at a wedding actually this last weekend, and we joked that now when the anniversary dance goes on at weddings, we used to be one of the first ones out. At least now we make it past the first wave.
Yes.
Right. So we feel like we're getting somewhere at that point.
Well, blink, and you'll be one of the couples standing there going, why are we the only ones out here? It's weird how fast that happens.
It
but
is.
Life is a vapor.
Yeah. I don't think you understand that either until you have kids and some of those things. I mean, it seems like yesterday. My son was born 6 years ago, just like that. Right? But it's a lot of fun.
It just disappears.
days are long, years are fast.
That is
so
100%
true. It is just unbelievable how quick it goes. Speaking of Lane, quite the experience.
Yeah,
with him
absolutely.
being born, and the story that Allie hates. Tell that story.
Yeah, so my wife was 29 weeks pregnant at the time, and she actually she went to work one day, and they took her blood pressure because she had started to swell up a little bit. Her blood pressure was actually over 200, over about 150.
Oh boy!
And so like stroke area is kind of where they were concerned. So they took her to the local hospital and then actually lifelined her to Indianapolis, where they were trying to get her blood pressure down. But she had severe preeclampsia, is what it was actually called. And then after some time, after about a day, they came in about 4:30 in the morning. I'll never forget. I was asleep on that little couch that we all hate, right? As
So
dads,
uncomfy.
so
Oh,
uncomfortable,
terrible.
We've got it really rough, honestly, at childbirth,
do.
having to sleep on that couch.
It's torture.
I'm just saying, yeah,
What we endure.
absolutely. I tried to tell Allie that. She doesn't think it's funny either. But so I was asleep on that little couch. The doctor came in and said, "Hey, Allie, can't control the fluid getting in your lungs. you're going to have your baby today. And I'll never forget waking up thinking, oh gosh, like I'm not sure I'm ready for this. But actually, so, fast forward a couple hours, the anesthesiologist comes in, and he's got an intern with him. And he said, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to let him kind of go ahead and give the talk, a great learning opportunity for him as an intern here, if you don't mind. And so we're both like, yeah, there's a lot of other things to worry about. This is going to be very minor, right? This is an example of one of those small things that becomes a big thing. And unfortunately, the gentleman was from another country, didn't speak great English. And at the end of his spiel, which we're all kind of on edge anyways, she's 29 weeks pregnant, about to have a baby, very premature. And he utters the phrase, and I'll never forget it, I think everything will be okay. And she looks at him and she goes, you think? You think? And I'll never forget that anesthesiologist, the actual one, his eyes are as big as silver dollars. And so he quickly corrected it. And everything ended up working out, but he was born 2 pounds, 14 ounces. And then we spent 73 days then in the Indianapolis NICU as he continued to grow. One of those experiences that most of you probably listening think, man, that's awful, right? It was one of the best experiences of our lives. And so at that time when I was at Reynolds, aftermarket manager, I grew up in the community, had a lot of relationships with people. Phone would ring, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. You had a key to the store and somebody needed something. You just did it, right? It wasn't necessarily in your job title. I always joke it's in that last paragraph, and all else, right? And so I'd go back and do those things. There was times, working 65, 70, hours a week during harvest just to support the community and the farmers, which I didn't think anything of, right? But as you look back on it, that experience with Lane helped realign my values as a person, because I was way too focused on for one, the things that weren't important, right? I wasn't focused on my family, wasn't focused on my wife at those times, and that taught me to be really intentional with things, just because how fragile, life can be. Because my wife at the time was extremely sick. We had a newborn baby that was 2 pounds in the NICU. So yeah, that was ultimately again one of the reasons. Again, looking at Beck, somebody that cared truly about just the home lifestyle, and when that came up at the interview, kind of recircling that with Bethany, man, God puts people in your lives at certain times to kind of reset your priorities. And I always say, that was an example of me having to take that next step and learn, right? As a young father at that time.
Absolutely.
To figure things out. And man, I'm ever so grateful that happened, right? It was one of the best experiences. We had so much fun. Had some great nurses during that time that we still stay in touch with today, which is a lot of fun.
That is cool.
Met some really neat people. We go to the NICU reunion every year and just have a heyday with it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, give me some perspective. 2 pounds. How?
He fit in the palm of our hand. Yeah, I'll never forget though. So as we're going back there, I prayed with my wife and I said, because you always hear people talk about when the baby screams when they're born, right? And they said, hey, we'll know pretty quick if he's okay or not. And I said, what's one of those things that you'll know? They said, well, if he cries, it'll tell us that his lungs are healthy. And I forget, Allie and I would sit there and we prayed that we would hear him scream, right, when they did the C-section. And that was the first thing that as soon as they did the procedure, he screamed and you could hear him cry.
No.
And just tears just ran down our faces.
Thank
about
you, Lord.
just an utter relief. And then after, actually, I went over and the anesthesiologist put my arm around him. I said, hey, I know you feel pretty bad right now. I said, that is minor in all the things you're ever going to do in life.
No kidding.
I said, it's no hard feelings.
Just words.
Yep, it's just words. I know how you meant it.
Yep.
And it's okay. But he felt really bad. But just again, after all that stress and pressure goes away,
man.
It's interesting how people react to that. So
it is. That relief, too, that he knew it was going to be okay and that he didn't screw it up.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So just one of those, again, as you sit here and you look back on things, everything happens for a reason.
Yes, it does.
Right? We can get mad. We can get frustrated about things in life, but everything happens for a reason.
And what you're outlining here, too, is a great reminder of the biblical principle that there's God's path and there's our path. And those two can diverge for a moment,
Absolutely.
And we pay the price for it.
Yep.
And when God brings us back through moments like Bethany and Lane, it is just now I'm back on the path that God would like.
Yeah.
Feels a lot different.
Yeah, a lot of the times I feel like I'm Vincent van Gogh with my life structure. Like I should be the one drawing it. But I learned pretty quickly I'm a terrible artist when it comes to life.
Oh, man. You and me both. The reason I think we want to tell our listening audience that the reason we had you on today, Scott, was we have no clue why.
Yeah.
You were the most requested person that I think I've ever had to have as a guest. Your name just keeps coming up.
That's a lot of pressure.
Well, and I would ask them why, and here was their consistent response: because he's a happy guy. And I'm like, really? That's why you want him on Across the Acres? Yeah, he's always smiling. And I think we've already seen this. But specifically, is there a reason you're so positive besides the Kool-Aid that you drink every day at Beck?
It's a lot of the Kool-Aid, right? I think there's something in there that definitely keeps me off edge.
But I've got to guess that you've been this way your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That positivity is just a natural gift.
It is. It's one of those gifts that you look back, that God gave me, right? And I feel like that's my job then to share that, right? And it's hard some days, right? But here's what I've learned, and everybody I'm sure has learned this along the way. Life can always be worse.
Oh my.
Man, it can always be worse. When things go the wrong way, you just have to reset your perception on that, right? Because things could always be worse, right? All you can do is work the problem in front of you and come out with the best possible solution that you can, right? And that just kind of works in all aspects of life. That there's always bigger problems, and I've experienced problems along the way, right? But it's how you handle those, I think, that tells a lot about you and your character. And I always try to respond the most positive way. I am by no means perfect at that, right? I'm sure my teammates, if they listen to this, they're gonna think, man, they say Scott's always so positive, right? I've heard him back at his desk on some things, but overall, I try to be as upbeat as I can. My mom actually tells the story. So I had a sister who was actually born a few years ahead of me, and unfortunately they lost her during delivery. My mom and dad thought about not having any more kids, and my mom says, God knew exactly what I needed at that time, and she goes, I needed you, Scott, that you're light spirited, a lot of fun, you can make anybody smile. She goes, I needed to learn to smile again.
Ooh, boy.
And she said, so God knew what he was doing at that time, right? And that kind of hits hard, right? Because then I have that responsibility.
Yep.
Right? That is ultimately what I think God sent me here for.
Yes.
Was to bring that positivity and joy to people, and I try to do that.
Well, it's a great Spider-Man quote: with great power comes great responsibility.
That's kind of like all those people recommending me to be on the show. That's a lot of responsibility now to me not to.
You've already nailed it, so you're good. But it is a part of those God-given talents and gifts that we all have.
Yeah.
And they're all so different, thankfully, because I can't begin to run the equipment that Morgan runs.
I couldn't dream.
There's all those buttons. But just those different gifts and talents, and then when we use them for his glory, his honor, it is exponentially powerful. When we try to do it for our own good. It might work short term, but man, it's hollow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's shallow. I also love the thought that speaks into what you just mentioned, and it's one of those quotes that's in those little things you hang on your wall. But perspective shift happens when we lean into God's true purpose.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people may be listening, how do I know what's my true purpose? What advice would you give them if they're trying to search for what God wants for them? I'm putting you on the spot here, but what would you tell them?
Yeah, and this is something I try to tell my kids today, right? Because I feel like even as kids, I mean, my kids are young, right? But my son goes to school, and you already see him at 6 trying to fit in different areas, right? And it's just stay true to who you are, right? I think it's so easy for us, especially in the age of social media, the internet. We've talked about a lot of those things, or we hear a lot about that in today's society. It's so easy to want something else, right? But truly just be who you are, right? That to me, and I tell my kids all the time, Lane and Mackenzie, if you guys are who you are, we will always love you, right? It doesn't matter what happens, right? We love you for who you are. You don't need to be something else, right?
Or do something.
Or do something. Absolutely. And that's something that trying to be a parent, right? It's not easy being a parent. I make plenty of mistakes and sit there and laugh about a lot of them now. But,
oh, boy.
That's my main one thing. I want my kids, as they go older, to really know that, hey, it's okay to be who I am. I am who God designed me to be, and that'll always be good enough.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's the advice I would give individuals is, hey, be who you are. We all have special gifts, right? Everybody has a special gift. I wish I was more tech savvy some days, right? But that's not my gift, right? And it's that just, I want to be who I am.
You're defining and describing unconditional love.
Yeah.
And if we can extend that to our family and to our coworkers, to those we meet in the, wherever, grocery store, to simply be kind. I had someone demonstrate kindness to me when I messed up recently, and they were just kind about it.
Yeah.
And then about a day later, I had someone else not express kindness for something I didn't do, but they had assumed.
Yep.
And I thought, what a contrast. I mess up, someone just is kind and patient, and they're like, dude, we get it, it happens. A day later, I didn't do it, and I still got yelled at. And wow, what a dichotomy. And the demonstration of the Holy Spirit versus and maybe they were just having a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Or I was the 9th person that had annoyed them that day. Mm-hmm. We all run out of patience.
Yeah.
At least I do.
I definitely do.
Okay.
You say I'm always smiling, but trust me, there's times.
moments.
Yeah, there's moments.
I was going to say, we could ask Lane to join us here.
I tell you what, you ask my wife, and she'd be like, "You guys want to come home and see what that's like?"
Yeah. Let's see how Smiley happens in Tipton.
Yeah, trying to put the kids to bed, and Mackenzie not wanting to go to bed. So that's what we're battling at 3. She does not want to go to bed.
Well, and if she's the spark plug you described.
Man, she is. My mom always told me, Scott, someday all the things you put us through, you're going to have a child that puts you through the same things. And Lane was not that way, because NICU babies, the great thing about having a NICU baby is they come home, they sleep. I mean, he came home, he slept. Baby life was easy.
Okay.
Right? Mackenzie, we brought home, she did not sleep.
Whole nother story.
And she has been that way ever since. So she is high energy. She loves life. She definitely is a spark, and something my wife looks at me when she does something. She'll be like, she acts just like you. And I say, yes, I do, and I'm proud of that.
Yep.
I will own that.
Until she turns 16 and goes crazy with a car. Don't worry, you got time.
It'll be here before we know it.
It'll be here way before we know it.
It'll be here before we know it.
I've got one last question. Morgan, anything that we missed, bro?
Mackenzie, strong name.
It is a good, strong name.
It's my middle name, so.
I like it.
I forgot that. I knew that and forgot that.
Yes, sir.
Huh. Morgan Mackenzie Fitch.
He spent the whole first grade learning to write that.
No, yeah. And being asked if my parents wanted a girl.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, you got
all the time.
I think it
bet.
flows nice, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Rolls right off the tongue.
does.
It's very presidential. A lot of presidents had cool middle names
They
like
did.
that. So I can't think of any one of them off the top of my head right now, but
Fitzgerald.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the one. Speaking of names, I have 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Your name is not Scott McCorkle.
Yeah.
You are a liar. You are a sham. You are hiding behind an alias. You're probably wanted in 7 states.
I tell you what, growing up, and everybody dreads that first day of school. I always dreaded the first day of school because I knew whenever they called for attendance, they were going to call my real name, which my real name's Jeffrey Scott McCorkle, which I often joke. I have a brother that's 6 years older than me that farms with my dad. And I always tell him, I said, Mom and Dad, I don't know why they didn't name you after Dad. You must have been a disappointment, from the beginning. I said, because, they waited to use Dad's name until they got to me, right? Because my dad's name is Jeffrey as well.
Okay.
He was Jeffrey Charles, named after his dad, and then I was named Jeffrey Scott. But from the time they brought me home, everybody called me Scotty. Okay. Everybody called me Scott. So I really never went by the name Jeff or Jeffrey, which is pretty funny. I asked my parents, I'm like, why'd you even do that?
Yeah.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Family tradition.
And I'll add to that here in a minute. So I grew up, obviously named after my dad. And I often joked, I said I was going to change my name someday. I was going to change it to Scott Jeffrey. Just doesn't sound the same.
No.
Right? Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Doesn't ring well.
It's one of those things to be proud of, though, to be named after your parents as well. My dad is a great guy, really blessed with a great family, growing up the way that I did. But so when we had Lane, my dad constantly asked my wife, Allie, so are you going to name him Jeffrey? And she's like, no, Jeff, we're not naming him Jeffrey. And so my dad always called him Jeffrey Lane McCorkle. And he would introduce him to people in public as Jeffrey Lane McCorkle. And so I'm not making this up at all. So preschool, they're going around and they're learning to spell, write their names, all those things. And the teacher said, Lane, tell me your full name. And he said, well, my name's Lane. And she said, no, tell me your full name. Okay, my name's Jeffrey Lane McCorkle. And so she's a close friend. And she called my wife and she goes, where did that come from? And my wife called my dad and she goes, "You won't believe what he did at school today." And man, I tell you what, just the pride, just smiling ear to ear.
He had to be happy.
He was happy about that. So
that is a good day. Well, no, my last question before we get to the Fun and Fast 5 is, because of your connection to our commitment reward department, if you could pick one item from all the items that you've had the pleasure to be a part of that either you would keep for yourself or that you would bequeath to your family farm.
Yep.
What would that one item be?
Oh, that is a great question, man.
We've had so many cool items.
We've had a lot of cool items, and so it comes down to fun or value or those things. So I'll give a couple of examples. One off the cuff. One of the coolest items I think hit home for me was actually our North region lead, Bill Freitag, designs all the guns for us. And so I hadn't talked to Bill about what gun we were running a couple years ago, and we were presenting new items, and he showed a Henry lever action 22. And I know that seems so simple, but even what data will tell you is that's one of the most popular guns that's passed down generation to generation. And man, I went out and got in the car, and I just sit there for a minute. And I was like, what's wrong with me? But I was sitting there thinking, well, the first gun that I got passed down to from my grandfather was a Henry lever action 22, which I still have today.
Yep.
And so I went ahead and I have a Henry lever action 22. Now, the Beck's a version, Corn Patch Keeper edition.
Oh, yeah.
And
cool.
I have it now. It's still in my safe that I'll pass down to my son someday, just to kind of make that come full circle. Telling the same story that my grandfather's gone now.
Yeah.
But just a cool moment of my childhood that I'll never forget, getting that at Christmas. That would be one of them. The other thing that just is so handy is like a side-by-side, those things.
Oh, my.
Just drive around. The way they make those things anymore, they're like a car. Air conditioning, heat.
Oh, yeah.
All of those pieces.
They're incredible.
My dad's first 3-year deal he did here at Beck. So we've always been a green family. So a deer family. Grew up thinking, red was bad. And come to Beck's, and, we're big proponents of Case. Case is a huge part of our program. And so my dad's first deal that he did here at Beck's, he got a Case tractor. And I'll never forget, as he signed the paperwork, I said, your dad is rolling over in his grave right now. I said, you have a red tractor on the farm now. He goes, it was such a good deal, I could not do it.
Dad would be proud.
And he still has that tractor here today, which is really neat.
Still running strong.
Still running strong. He loves it.
Oh, can't go wrong. Well, if you're ready, sir, we're going to spring into the fun.
Let's see what you got.
Fast 5. Okay. Reality TV or a scripted drama?
Reality TV. I like a little, just every now and then, what I like to call garbage TV is good, right?
Let the brain melt.
Yeah, I don't know why, but
That's fair. Scented candle or fresh air?
Fresh air.
Okay. Watching a sunrise or stargaze?
Sunrise.
Traveling with friends or just your family?
Just family. That can be challenging, though. You get 2 little kids in the backseat, long distance.
Boo boy.
I've learned a different level of appreciation, I guess, for technology in those cases.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how my parents did it. We didn't have iPads and all these things you can give kids.
It was the shut up.
Yes, play a road game or something.
Yeah.
Here's a book.
Yeah, here's a book.
There you go. Stare out the window and count sheep or something.
Yep.
Last but not least, fulfillment or security?
That's a tough one.
I thought so too.
Scotty doesn't know.
That is a classic. I like that. We'll go fulfillment.
Tell me more.
I think there's a lot of ways you can go with that, but it just seems like that more naturally, again, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, more naturally fits me, I guess, just as an individual and kind of ties in. Those questions are always hard because there's no right or wrong answer to it, right? It just kind of learn a little bit more about you.
I'm going to put words in your mouth. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But security also, you find your security in God first.
Yep.
And you've got faith in Him that He's going to take care of you and provide. And so then fulfillment is, security's already taken care of, so why not go for fulfillment?
Yeah, it's that trust aspect of it.
It is.
It's handled. It's done.
Yep.
Right. It's kind of that
He's got it.
My favorite quote is around Easter time, and it's done. It's finished.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. And that's that security.
Amen.
That I think sometimes maybe we do take for granted. Right.
I do.
I know that I do. Constantly. Right. We take advantage of that security, but also that grace. A lot of times it's good to reset.
Oh, amen. All about perspective.
It's all about perspective at the end of the day.
There's our theme. Well, Scotty, this has been a treat.
Absolutely.
I knew having you would be fun. We just didn't know why. And Morgan, I think we figured out why. We had a great time. Thank you.
It was good. No, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about me and what makes me tick a little bit. Maybe why I smile so much, but by no means perfect.
Hey, if you were, we'd be worried. That'd be weird. So
it would be.
Don't do that. But thank you to all of you who came along on our journey today on Across the Acres. Please give us a 5-star rating and review on the podcast provider of your choice. And until next time, we will catch you across the acres.